How to start such a video. The caption of this video could be how and why, or how the heck and why the heck. Hi, this is Luisa Heinzel. For you, today is Sunday, if you watch this video right after I have published it. For me, today it's what is it? Friday. It's the Friday after my paper premiere, Halloween in August, where you probably also have been, and where I have shown my what am I doing here? My Halloween in August paper collection, which is brand new in my shop, which I also have here in my journal. And I don't know if a day like yesterday, the day yesterday, it was Thursday obviously, I don't know if a day could be with more contrasts and more mixed emotions than my day yesterday was. I had the paper premiere on YouTube and I was so extremely happy to see so many people there. I'm still completely overwhelmed about the amount of people who have been at this paper premiere. You, all of you, have made that day into such a special day for me. I'm still completely blown away. Thank you so much for that. It was such a nice time, and your reaction to this paper collection was just so awesome, and it still is. My smartphone is ringing all the time with questions and the notification that I sold the item in my shop. You know, it gives me a notification when someone buys the item in my shop. I'm so happy that you like this paper collection, because there went so much into it, not only time and thoughts and that stuff, but also personal things. And I made this collection during a time which is not so easy for me, because, you know, perhaps you heard that I moved from Austria back to Germany, so I'm still a little bit in this situation of the move. I still don't have a kitchen, for example, and I don't want to sound weird, yeah, so but that, oh no, that makes this whole situation not so easy, because, oh my goodness, I want to have more of that pattern there. What do I have to do? Can I, is this, can I, oh no, oh no, help. I mean, creating a paper collection in such a time is not so easy. If you don't have a kitchen, and, you know, I don't have a living room yet. I do it, oh, okay, I do it like this. Then it's not so easy. And when then people out there are thrilled about the paper collection, that is even more special than if you had a normal apartment and everything is like, you know, normal. Yeah, it's a difference somehow. And that makes me just so happy. But on the other hand, yesterday something really weird happened, and I still don't have an explanation for that, but I want to give you some information in this video where I think that could be helpful for you, and that is something where it's enough when I freaked out yesterday, so I show that to you in this video, so that you don't have to freak out as well, and that you already know a solution. Because I found something out where I thought, I have no idea what is happening, and I don't have an idea why that is happening. So in today's video, I want to show you how to use stencils and stamps to get a really cool connection. Can you see it? A cool connection between pages in your journal and also between pages and ephemera. And with that, I also want to show you this really a second ago I looked it up in my translator. In German it's unlogisch, so in English it's illogical, not unlogical but illogical. Is that correct? I think so. I found something out that to me is really illogical, but it's good that we have those things and that we can find that out by experimenting and then find solutions, and then with that we get knowledge about the things we have and the things we like to use. Now I can say it like this. Yesterday I was like completely out of order. So the first thing is, everything I show in this video you can do with any medium you have. I have used some oxide ink here. In this case, this was the color Wild Honey. And the other color I've used was frayed burlap, also oxide ink. But you can use a stencil also with distress ink or with another brand of ink. It doesn't have to be the Ranger ink. Yeah, it can be everything. You could do this with texture paste. You could do this with acrylic paint, stenciling through a stencil. You can do it with whatever you have. But there's one medium I want to go a little bit more into detail today, because I think if you have that medium too, then you should know this, especially when you use digital printables, which you have printed on matte photo paper. And what I'm saying here today, I can unfortunately only say for the photo paper I am using. I will link the brand and the photo paper down below in the description box so that you can check the photo paper out, so that you can see the brand and you know, read all of the information which are given there. And that you can also check if you want to have exactly this photo paper I am using, or you know, if there is a difference in the description to the photo paper that you are using, because I don't know if what is happening here on my photo paper, if that is a general thing for all photo papers. I can't say that because I don't have other brands of photo papers. So you definitely have to try that out with your own kinds of photo papers. So coffee first, that is very important, because it's also a little bit hard for me to explain this whole stuff in English, but I will try my best to give you the information you probably would like to have if you want to do it the same like I do it here. If you use the same materials, and especially if you use this one medium I will use in a second. But let's go a little step back and let's talk about this, what I have just done here. In the beginning you have seen 3 different pages, 2 tags in this little tuck spot here. With different pages, I mean that we not only have different kinds of papers. This is just a piece. What is this? Yeah, this is the back side of a photo paper. Here's no print on it, but here's just some rusty water on it. This is a normal kind of paper, like a copy paper, a little thicker paper, also with rust. This envelope comes from my Halloween in August ephemera pack. Also the tags and this pocket. This is printed on matte photo paper 200 GSM, the same like these, and the pocket. And this page here comes from my Halloween in August junk journal pages. This is also printed on matte photo paper, but it's another brand and it's only 110 GSM. So basically we have different papers with different features and with different things. Here it was plain before I stenciled, and here we have this pattern. And additionally, oh, by the way, this is stamped and embossed. Don't know if you can see that in the camera. This is not on the print. This is stamped and embossed with gold embossing powder. I think that looks really nice. But what I'm trying to say is the contrast between the pages was pretty big, because here it was plain and here it's busy, especially when these tags are in here also. With the stenciling, we get already a really cool connection between these pages, because we have now the same pattern on both of the pages, and it makes it more into a double spread somehow, instead of having two separated pages next to each other. With choosing the right colors, I make this because what are the right colors? Yeah, use what you like. But for me, the right colors here are Wild Honey and Frayed Burlap, because we have a color similar to Wild Honey here on this tag, and also in the sunflower here with this brownish color. You know, we have a little bit of this like Frayed Burlap-ish color. And that makes a really cool harmony between the pages. That's why I have chosen Wild Honey and Frayed Burlap. So, connection, yeah? So then I thought, when I did this yesterday, and that is the why of the caption of this video. I mean, the caption that we are talking about, the video will probably have a normal caption, but you know, the caption of this video could be why and how. And this is the why. Because I thought, what if no, not this one. Where is my, what is this? This is fossilized amber. Where is my, what is going on here? Here. Holy cow. When this is like so on my desk, it looks so bluish, but when I turn it around, I see it is the color I was searching for. It's walnut stain. So I thought, in this journal, Halloween in August, I have the themes Halloween and summer in one journal. That is the concept of this journal. If you want to know more about the journal, the papers and the concept behind it, please watch the replay of the paper premiere. It's linked below this video. There you get everything you need to know about the concept and the idea behind this. So I want, of course, to have summery colors and Halloweenish colors in my journal. I want this connection between the themes, Halloween and summer, and I want to have that everything is like, you know, a harmony between these themes. So I thought the perfect medium to get some more interest here is the new Distress Spritz by Ranger and Tim Holtz. So I thought I take fossilized amber, because that is the closest color which is at the moment available, which would fit here to the yellowish orange colors. And I have chosen walnut stain because I think that is really nice in combination with the brownish colors on the page here. So what I did was, and I will take these out, and by the way, the video was already finished and it was already on YouTube, yeah? So this is the second time I made this, video. And I was like, I just can't get it. So shake these well. What is Distress Spritz? Distress Spritz is a clear liquid with a colored mica. Yeah, and it's meant to finish your things and to spritz onto your things. That is just a absolutely cool idea behind this medium. But you have to know several different things, obviously. So let's spritz on here. And of course, if you don't have the spritz, then please just use acrylic paint mixed with water and make splatters now. Or use your favorite medium you want to use for making splatters. If you don't have something like this, yeah, you don't necessarily need that. But if you have it, and you know, and I know that many of you have bought this, then you probably want to know the following thing, especially if you are into digital paper and if you print your digital paper onto matte photo paper, because the following thing is happening here. Let's quickly dry this. And I will dry it, especially here, not completely. Here where the bigger splatters are, it's still a tiny little bit wet, but that is, in this case, for this demo, what is going to happen here in a second, good, so that you can see what is happening here. So now, for demonstration, we take a dry paper towel. Because yesterday when I recorded the other video, which is now in the trash can, I had my hand and I went over a page like this, and suddenly I felt like God or so, because when I made this, my spritz disappeared. It was gone. It was on my hand. It was gone, completely gone. Because obviously, on photo paper, the spritz doesn't work on this matte photo paper. So remember, this is a normal piece of paper. So when I go over this here, the spritz is still there. Yeah, so nothing happens. It's just normal. What happens here is just normal. This is how it should work. And when you then hold it against the light into an angle, then you can see this wonderful shimmer. So here it's also not coming off. It's there. You can see it here. It's just fine. It is, everything is just normal here. Yeah, but if we now talk about this piece of photo paper, the flap of the envelope which is attached here, and we talk about this page and the pocket, then watch. I take the very clean part of my paper towel here and I go over this. Just with just no pressure, just, you know, here it was a little bit wet, that's why it's smearing here. I left it wet for showing you what's happening here, so that you can exactly see what you can expect with matte photo paper and the spritz, and that you are aware of what is happening then. Here is a lot of dust now on my table from the mica, because it comes off completely, unfortunately, from the photo paper. It's obviously, and I haven't known that, it's obviously not made to work on this kind of paper. There where the spritz was not completely dry and where it was a little thicker, when I then went over it, it's still not dry here yet, then it is a little bit here. Also here where it was a little bit wet, it's still there. I'm wondering, and it's smeared, but the rest is gone completely. And I don't know why, because I mean, where's the difference between this kind of paper and, for example, this and this? I mean, I know the difference, yeah? Here is the photo surface, and here's not the photo surface. But spritz is meant to use on porous surfaces, and this is a porous surface. Or am I completely an idiot? I have no idea. It is so illogical for me. I can't understand it. But the first thing that I want to know now is if you take a damp paper towel, you can even remove the rest here, and perhaps this smear as well on my beautiful embossing here. So that is pretty good, that we know that we can do something like this and that we don't have ruined our page. If that happens accidentally, that is good, I think. And the other thing that is good is we can now think about the coolest solutions ever, and we can turn what we have learned here into something that we can use for future projects and for cool effects. Because this, that it came off, is nothing that can hinder me to make cool things, yeah? So please don't get me wrong. This is an information for me. It's okay. I have this medium, and I know that obviously this is not made to work on here, yeah? So now you know it as well. But you know me. I am Luisa Heinzel. And if I want to have this beautiful effect on here as well, then I will make it work. Yeah, there can come whatever wants to come, if I want to have this here, I make it work. That sounds arrogant, but that is how my brain works. I can't do a lot against that because that is just how my brain works. I will quickly dry this. Let's first take a paper towel, and you see here is the stamped and embossed impression of these flowers here. Let's go over this. And let's remove the spritz only there where the stamp impression is. And I also realized that there where the smear was, the spritz also still stays here. That is interesting. But what this does is that you can see the stamp impression now way better without the spritz on it, and the spritz is only around the stamp impression, only here. Yeah, it's still not permanent here, but it's, you know, it's here, and you can control where I'm so sorry. You can control where the spritz is. The same with the sunflower. If you think, you can't see that so well. If you look at it like so, can you see how much here is? I did that on purpose so that you can see what you can do with this. Because now when you take your paper towel, and let me try to hold that in this angle so that you can see it happening. The problem is now I can't see anymore what I'm doing. Because now you can take this off only, for example, from the sunflower. Here we could also perhaps remove it from these darker trees. Can you see? Now the whole thing is not permanent yet. What you now can do is you can take such a fixative and spritz that over your pages, and then this whole thing gets permanent. I will link this down below for you. I know that this is an additional step and that this costs additional money, but I also have to say I have this fixative spray bottle here since 2017. You don't need this so often, and you don't need much of this. That's what I'm trying to say. And I think for those problems here, that is really helpful, because now nothing on your pages is changing, but what you have here is permanent now. Look, what I have here is from before or from yesterday, but now this is on here and it's not coming off from the photo paper anymore. Can you see? Problem solved. And it looks exactly the same like without this fixative. That was really important for me for, you know, finding a solution for this, that it really looks the same like if the fixative was not there. And I think this looks really, really interesting. So what we have done here, besides this thing with the spritz, so that's the topic of the video, we have connected both of these pages with each other with the stenciling and the spritzing here. We have these tags which can now go back into this pocket, and if you look at them you can of course immediately see here's no spritz on them but only the stenciling. That can also be a trick to make a page more interesting. Just splatter or spritz over this here or the whole thing without spritzing to these, and then put them back in here, and you can immediately see that they have a totally different intensity than the rest, especially with this mica effect. When you hold it against the light, you can see shimmer, 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 no shimmer. Yeah, does that make sense? So another thing that I found out, and that I want to demonstrate on these tags, they will now change. So what I just said is then gone. Because they will change now. What I then also found out is the following thing, and I want to show you something that where I already know that it works, and another thing I want to try out together with you where I don't know yet if that works, because I thought, why don't we try that together? So if I get a nerve-wracking moment, then we can celebrate that moment together. So the first thing is, let's put this aside. The first thing, what you could do is take a stencil. Please excuse that this is so dirty. This is art. Let's take a translucent texture paste. So we spritz our first layer on here. It's a little bit invisible, but please trust me, it will be visible in a second when I hold that against the light. You can see the shimmer when you hold it against the light. Can you see it? And this is now not permanent on here yet. If I would go over this with my paper towel, it would come off completely. Like you've seen it on the page a second ago. So I take my stencil. How do I want to have that? I want to have his face free, of course. Then I take my texture paste and a spatula. I put this on here, trying to not go over this with the spatula too much so that I don't move the mica which is on the tag too much. And now I have no idea if this is nice or not, but because I just can't see it, we'll take this off. And I'm wondering why I have closed this jar, because I want to try two different things. So I will let this dry until it is nearly completely dry, but not totally. And on this tag, I want to try something. And here I will not put the first layer, but just the second layer so that I can better see what I'm doing. So here I will not put the walnut stain spritz, but I will only put the texture paste on here. Does that make sense? Because I haven't done this before, what I'm doing here now, and I want to see this just in the pure condition. So this is the first experiment with this thing, yeah, with this idea. These steps are similar, but not completely the same. And I want to know if there's a difference or not. Because I want to let this dry completely. That is absolutely illogical, makes absolutely no sense, because when this is completely dry, then it's slippery. It's like plastic. It's glossy and slippery. And you should normally think that on those slippery surfaces, the spritz can't dry. But sometimes we have to do illogical things to find out the most amazing techniques and effects. That is what I experienced yesterday. And for drying, we have two different options now. One option, heat tool. If you dry your paste with a heat tool, then please be careful that you don't overheat them if you don't want to have bubbles. And I want to do the following thing. I want to dry this until it's nearly completely dry, but not completely. Why? That has an easy reason. Because I'm thinking, ooh, bubbles, stop it. I'm thinking, what if this is still a little bit wet? And what if I now spritz the spritz on here when this is still a bit sticky, because when I touch it, I see that I can't smear it around anymore. It's already so dry that it doesn't smear anymore, but it is sticky still because it's not completely dry yet. When this is dry, it gets completely translucent, yeah? So what if we now take the spritz and spritz it on here and let it then dry completely? Will this spritz then stay on the paste? The answer is yes. I'm not a fortune teller, but I tried it out yesterday. It works and it gives the coolest effect ever. And the thing is, let me already do it. Shall we take this again? Yes. Let's take fossilized amber again. And the cool thing is, we know that we have the photo paper here. That means if I now take this and, oh, that is perhaps, what? Why is this so weird here at the moment? Because I already recorded the German video and there I did it as well. And but there I used a different stencil, a little bigger pattern. And now I'm a little bit confused about the reaction here, because in the German video it looked completely different, but let's see. Let's try it anyway. Perhaps it's a fail and it's not working, then we know that as well. So, what I'm confused about is, but perhaps that is even the cool thing about this. Here, can you see that there's only a little bit of the spritz sitting on the paste? That looks a bit weird, doesn't it? But it looks like little eggs, you know. Let's put this aside. I'm so sorry, I'm so confused. Let's put this aside and let's let that dry completely. And as you can see here on his face, there's now way too much of the spritz. But since we know that we can remove it from the photo paper, that is not a problem. But if it dries on here, on the texture paste, we can have it on the texture paste, but not on the paper, yeah? Do you know what I mean? We are going to let this dry completely. And I want to know what happens when the paste on this tag is completely dry and we spritz the spritz over that then. Can it dry there? I have arguments for that theory that it could work, because I found out that there are other surfaces where the spritz can dry, even if that is completely illogical. So I will dry this completely. Why is this taking so long? Do you know what? We will put this aside and we will go on with the other things first, because then you can perhaps also understand my process of thinking and the order of my thoughts a little bit better, and why I came to the idea to test this with the texture paste, which is like plastic. When this is completely dry, it's slippery, it's like plastic, it's a non-porous surface then, yeah? So why did I came to this idea? I came to this idea because when I wanted to clean my surface here, I realized that when I take a dry paper towel, that the spritz on my glass mat is pretty permanent here. Look. Can you see? Of course, I can remove that with water really easily. But then I thought, wait, since the spritz is made to work on porous surfaces, and Tim said that it can't dry on, for example, acetate, why is it then so extremely hard to remove it from glass? Because glass is slippery, isn't it? Hopefully I'm using the right English terms for this whole thing. You can probably hear in my voice, it's not so easy for me to explain this thing in English, but hopefully you will in a second see what I mean. So glass is slippery. plastic is slippery. If I would take such a plastic, for example, and I would spritz on here with the Distress Spritz, this would never dry on here. The same for Distress Oxide Spray or Spray Stain or whatever. Yeah, it would not dry on here because it's not made for those surfaces. But when I worked in the journal, I accidentally spritzed to the edge of my cover here. This is Distress Spritz. And this is holographic vinyl paper. You can see this holographic effect, meaning this is a slippery surface. Comparable, slippery-wise, to glass somehow, because this is slippery and this is slippery. Yeah, perhaps that is not so 100% correct with the terms, but that is what was in my head at the moment, that this is slippery and this is slippery. Why does it dry here, and why the heck does it dry here? Because then after I got accidentally the spritz on here, I sprayed it on purpose here, and as you can see, it dries, and I don't have this fixative on here. It just dries on this printable holographic vinyl. So this holographic paper comes in sheets. You can buy that, and then you can print a printable onto that sheet. This is my translucent flower whispers printable from my shop. So these flowers you can see here, I have printed on there with my inkjet printer. Yeah, but why does this dry on here? So I thought, if that works, what about an overhead transparency? Let's take this pocket and the page behind the pocket. This pocket from the Halloween in August ephemera pack is printed on an overhead transparency. That makes it already pretty cool because, let me take something white, you can see that this is translucent and that you can see the image as soon as something light is in the pocket. And when you take it out, you have this really cool mixture of this background page and the pocket. I find that really interesting. But normally you would think that everything sprayable from the Distress line can't work on this because this is an acetate and it's slippery and those mediums are not meant to dry on this. But since this is a printable acetate, meaning an overhead transparency, Distress Spray Stain will stay on here, and Distress Oxide Spray with, I make this, I show you in a second what I mean with this. It works a little bit as well, if you know some things. And the spritz dries on this as well. Believe it or not, it dries on this. Yeah, so what can we do if we know that? We take something, Shall we go with these flowers? I'm a little bit afraid because there is already so much flower stuff going on. Let's add more flowers. Let's try it. So we take this. By the way, this is the number THS 143. Let's put this on here like so, perhaps. And let's then decide for a color we want to use. Here is a lot of brown going on and not so much of the orange. So let's perhaps go with brushed corduroy. I think that brushed corduroy is also a color that fits really well to the Halloween in August paper collection. I say that because so many of you always ask for matching colors from the Distress line. When you buy papers in my shop, you often ask me which color from the Ranger palette fits well to the printable. Here in this case, one answer is brushed corduroy. So I line this up. I want this really straight, like so. And what I'm doing now is something that I can recommend to do, even if you don't have, you know, let's say you are a beginner. Let's say you don't have knowledge yet about your mediums. Let's say you have bought some distress oxide inks, you have bought some distress inks, you have bought inks from another brand, you have bought inks, sprays, acrylic paints locally. Do what I do here. I know that is a little bit of a risk. You need to be a little bit brave, but with doing this, you can get the coolest results and the coolest ideas for future techniques. And if you ask me, how do you come to those ideas? How do you find those things out? Then the answer is exactly like this. I do illogical things to find these things out. That sounds totally arrogant, but it's how it is happening, or how it happens. Because when I do this, I turn on my brain and I think, okay, Tim said that this can't dry on plastic. This can't dry on acetate. What the heck am I doing here? I'm just putting this onto acetate. Yeah, it's completely illogical. But trust the process. If you want, you can add some more water here. We haven't added water yet, Louisa. You can add some water here. We'll put that to my hands and then just splatter it on. Depending on the paper, the oxidation is going to happen more or less intense now. That is normal. Yeah, depending on the paper you have here, that can be different. And here we take first, if I won't have the knowledge about what is going to happen here now, I would probably first take a dry paper towel and carefully go over this. And when I do that, I can see, let me zoom in a little bit, that obviously here is coming something off. But at the same time, I can see something is staying here. Since I know that the overhead transparency was printed with my printer, I know that I can't scratch over this extremely. Yeah, I can't use something scratchy to go over this, otherwise the print would disappear. Since I know that, I take a paper towel and just the tiniest amount of water, because that helps to get this removed really easily without destroying the print which I got from my printer. And now watch the magic happen. What's happening here is I remove the oxidation now, and the rest is staying there. Let me quickly take something white so that you can see that even better. So that means you can take your stencils and your overhead transparency where you have printed a printable on, and you can combine that, yeah, on this transparency, and it won't come off. But be prepared to be amazed. Take the spritz. Take the spritz. This is walnut stain again. I have to hold that a little bit like so that it can't run over the material here. And spritz it on. Also a little bit to your arm. That is really helpful. It's good for the skin. I'm just kidding. So then dry it carefully with your heat tool. These bigger things are not completely dry yet. Take a dry, and I want that like it is. Take a dry paper towel, go over this. Then you get these little craters there. Let me take Let me take something white so that you can see really well what is on here now. And you can see the spritz is now on this overhead transparency. And if you take a paper towel and go over this, it is on here, it stays on here, it doesn't come off. The shimmer is not so extremely visible, as you can see, but it's there, and these splatters are there. Especially the walnut stain in combination with the Halloween theme looks really cool on this acetate, I think. This brings a whole another dimension somehow to this. Of course, you could use some acrylic paint to splatter on here, but remember, if you put acrylic paint on here, then you would have an opaque result, and this is still translucent. Look how cool that mixes with the rest of the oxide ink here. Can you see? If you would use acrylic paint, then the splatters would be opaque and you would not get this cool mixture. And I think this is really interesting, isn't it? Okay, so we know that. What about these things? They are still not completely dry. Why not? Am I working so fast today, or is this drying so slowly? I don't know. So I will quickly dry this whole thing completely. I'm so impatient today. It's not 100% dry, as you can see here on the right, but here it's completely dry. Here it's completely translucent, and this is completely dry. So let's take a dry paper towel. And if my theory that the spritz and the paste are connecting with each other when the paste is still a little bit sticky, if that theory is correct, then and it is correct, I know that, then the spritz should stay on the pattern, on the paste, but we can remove it from the photo paper. And also from these areas in between of the paste. And here I just realized it's harder to remove that because the slots in between of this pattern are so small. What? But it works, and it is on here. Can you see? That is really cool. It's just on here. And I also like these little areas around the paste. Obviously the mica went to the paste here and it sticks there somehow, or I don't know what is happening there, but it is there. What I also want to know is, and of course we can then remove that from the face here as well, because this is photo paper. But what I also want to know is what happens now if we take a tiny bit of water. Will it then go away completely from the paper, and will it stay on the paste? I mean, this is just a piece of paper. Let's try something. Let's make it really wet. And then, yeah, the most of it will come off then. It's not so extremely connected with the paste anymore, but there's still a little bit. Can you see? There's still a little bit left. And if we do a similar thing here, where we put the paste first, shall we perhaps take some weathered wood here to get a nice contrast to the orange? What if we spritz that really extremely on here? It reacts similar on the paste itself. It also makes these little like blobs. So let's dry this. I mean, this thing with the water, I just did this here so extremely just to test it. If you already have the knowledge about this, you would probably not add so much water to this, but in the second I say it, I regret that I said it, because when it's dry it looks really cool. So what's going on here? We should be able to, oh, I need a dry paper towel to be able to compare this well. We should be able now to remove this here from the photo paper. And that is happening. It's hard to remove it in between of the stenciling because the slots are so tiny. In the German video I have taken a bigger stencil, and that is probably something you want to have in mind. I have taken this stencil in the German video, look, and I did exactly the same thing, but here you can see the mica is sitting on the paste, and in between here I could remove that really easily, so that the mica is not on the photo paper now, but only on the paste. Can you see that? Here it's harder to remove that because the slots are so small. And oh, what I also am realizing now is that this is the 200 GSM photo paper, and the page in my journal is the other brand of photo paper. Shall we or shall we not? Since photo paper is magic, the oxide ink I have stenciled with before is permanent on here now. This would not work with watercolor paper or something. That works only with photo paper. So that my stenciled pattern here in the background is still intact now, even if I have spritzed a ton of water. If I compare both of these now, I can't see a very big difference in the result. So obviously it makes not such a big difference if we let the paste dry completely and then add the spritz, or if we let the paste dry not completely and then add the spritz. In the end, it's here, and this was successful, and that's the point. So we have taken both of these tags from here, from this double spread we made. But when I look at this now, can you see this is a little bit too much of everything? But that can be also a trick. Take things, do things on one spread. Also perhaps to not be overwhelmed by a whole journal. Just choose one page, do something, and then take the ephemera out from the pocket and search for another spot where this could fit. Take what you made and put it somewhere else in another pocket, and then suddenly with other things you did, you can see you have a really interesting thing here now, and something that is totally different than the rest you had before on the page. And that can help to make a journal cohesive, of course, because when you have the spritz and the paste here on this tag, on this page where nowhere else is spritz or paste, then you have this special thing here, and it looks special, and you can see immediately, oh, this is something different, and you can feel it because of the texture, instead of having it on that page where it came from, where everything is with the spritz. Do you know what I mean? The thing with the stenciling made this cohesive look on this double spread. And what we also got is this rectangle here. We got that, of course, because this here, this little page, was like a mask when we did the stenciling and the spritzing. But now we have something cool here. So why don't we use this and make something really quick and easy with some stamps? So what if we, for example, what do you want to do here? Do you want to play with us? I don't think so. Go back in here, please. What if we take, oh, by the way, this is the set, the Inspector CMS 465. What if we take this stamp, and what if we then additionally take a pointy finger from this set, Curiosity Shop CMS 482. What if we then take some ground espresso archival ink, and yes, I don't use an acrylic block here. Why? Because this is not on a flat surface. I mean, you know, when I stamp here, I have to press the stamp down, and that would work not so well with an acrylic block. It works better if you use your fingers, but that's only my personal opinion. And as you can see, it gets really irregular, but I like that. And then we can make a little frame around this rectangle so that it looks not so, you know, when you do this, you see the whole pattern, and when you do this, you think, oh, she has missed stenciling there or something. But if we do it like this, it looks like the coolest journaling space ever. And it looks like it was done on purpose. Just like this. And if you are scared about stamping like this, you could of course also take this, stamp that to an extra piece of paper, cut it out, and then just glue it down. What you also could do, if you have stenciled to your pages, so here on this spread you can see it's a similar idea like on the other one. I have stenciled first, and then I have taken a script stamp and I have stamped only to the areas where my stenciling is, so that gives a nice addition as well. So perhaps that's an idea that you want to try out. That works, in my opinion, the best with those abstract and a little bit bigger stencils like these circles. But I also tried it out with some florals, which are obviously not so big. Yeah, the single pieces of the pattern are not so big. It's a little bit more delicate, but it works as well. And you can also then put some fragments of stamping to the pattern. I've just stenciled through the stencil with some oxide ink, and then put the stencil on here again, and then I stamped through it with archival ink and a script stamp. And I did exactly the same thing here on this page. And I think that looks really nice. So I'm really hoping that you enjoyed this and that you can do something with this information about the spritz I have given in this video. I wish you a lot of fun experimenting in your own journal. Or perhaps you have loose ephemera and you want to experiment on that. That's of course also possible. Or you have loose pages or whatever. I wish you very, very much fun creating something and experimenting. And if you want to have the Halloween in August collection from my shop, then you can find the links down below in the description box. Thank you very, very much for your feedback about this paper collection. And again, thank you very much for joining my paper premiere. That was a really, really exciting day for me, and you have turned that day into a really special day, and I'm really thankful for that. See you the next time. Bye bye.